Thank you, my dear. You know, since this is the Thanksgiving season, and I always like to associate that kind of season with little ones, tonight is as appropriate as any to tell about just the lovely little ones you might have at home. For example, this adorable little 8-year-old girl, quite like one you might have in your very own heart, walked into a bakery shop and said to the baker, "My mommy found a fly in the raisin bread." He says, "So bring back the fly, I'll give you a raisin." And you know, cute little 6-year-old boy walked into the grocery and said, "Mommy wants change of $1." He gave him change of $1. The little fellow was on the way out. The grocer called to him. He said, "Just a minute, son. Where's the $1?" So she'll give it to you Monday. And you know, since truth is so much stranger than fiction, imagine a man who found it possible for 25 years of his life to arrive for work every morning at 9 o'clock. Just as the good Lord made the day he walked in for his work at 9 in the morning, you could set your watch by his appearance. And suddenly one morning, after all these 25 years of punctual 9 o'clock appearances, he walked in at 10. Big lump on his head, 2 black eyes, bloody nose, ear hanging, lip torn, clothes ripped and disheveled. Boss says, "What happened to you?" He says, "Oh, I fell down old flight stairs, almost got killed." The boss says, "So this took an hour?" You know, I had a boss like that once. But speaking of falling down, I want you to hear about a man who's been drinking very heavily. This man is loaded, blind, fractured. There is a word that will accurately describe his condition. It may be found in the new issue of the unabridged Funk and Wagnall's dictionary. He was fablonget. It's a French derivative which will be found under either F or B, I'm not sure. But in this drunken stupor, he walked into an empty elevator shaft. He fell 10 floors. Now, that'll happen to some of us on occasion. Picked himself up, brushed himself off, and said, "I guess I should have said up." But you know, idle conversation always gives me a big kick. The other day, I was standing about 2 or 3 feet from 2 young men who were in conversation, and one said to the other, "Where did you was this past winter?" Says, "I was in Palm Springs." Says, "You was where?" He says, "Palm Springs." So what is you don't talk a good English? It's not Palm Springs, it's Palm Springs. Says, "You know, you're right. I had it confused with Palm Beach." And you know, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you, please, for a moment to imagine, if you will, Christmas in California. Christmas in California. What could be lovelier under normal weather conditions than Christmas in California? A native New Yorker walking along Wilshire Boulevard meets a native Californian. And if you know native Californians, you know how very, very proud they are of their home state. The Californian, drawing himself up to his full height, says to the New Yorker, "How do you like my California?" He answers, typically New York, "Yeah." Says, "You don't like it?" "What's the matter? You don't sound enthused." Says, "So what is to be enthused?" Of course, when you tell it in California, you can switch it to suit yourselves. And ladies and gentlemen, the mention of California reminds me that in April, just before I left Florida to come up north, I was in a drugstore on Lower Washington Avenue in Miami Beach, the Deep South. Little fellow came in, sat down alongside of me at the soda fountain, and I heard him say to the soda clerk, "Today, if y'all be so kindly, Dalton," you know, it's the Deep South. He says, "I feel like Debbie shall make me a pineapple, banana, peach melody." Says, "Y'all put me in a special glass. On the bottom, you stick me some pineapple. Nachher, you'll give me some vanilla ice cream. Nachher, I must explain, that's a southern delicacy, like corn pone, nachher, covered with yams." Said, "Then you'll cut mother panini. On top of this, some chocolate ice cream. Then in honor of the Hounds Bowl game, you give me a piece of Hounds. Not the stick of tangerine will do. Then you give me some crushed nuts. then some whipped cream, a few chocolate sprinkles, and on the top there, if you'll be so kind, you stick me what I call a chair like this, sir. And the clerk says, I got y'all, mister. Maybe y'all got time to come in Monday for our fitting? And folks, you're very kind, but you know, I like to think a great many of the young men throughout the country have a right to know that while they were away in the last war, a great many very strange but very interesting and humorous incidents occurred. For example, when the American army occupied Rome, I then told a story of a little Italian-American soldier boy who had been given a pass for the weekend. Since in civilian life he'd been a lover of the finer arts, as most Italian families are. It occurred to him it might be wise to visit some of the very beautiful palaces his mother had told him about. Now, he came upon 3 statues he couldn't quite understand. The first statue looked like this, the second like that, and the third like that. So he walked up to the Italian caretaker and says, would you be kind enough, sir, to tell me what those 3 statues represent? And the kindly little old Italian man said, I'll be very happy to tell you what they means. I'll explain it for you. He said, the first statue, she said, who spit on the floor? He did it. Who, me?